Engineer 775 with my next fun DIY project, and that is adding some PV Direct to this water heater. Another way of looking at a water heater is a thermal storage device. So there are millions of these in American homes, millions of these in homes around the world. Simple electric water heaters that are just a storage device. So what I'm going to do today is hook up a controller to my bottom element. I'm going to separate the two elements. There's a bottom element. I'm not going to get into the water heater wiring, but my goal with this project is to take solar and go through a solar hybrid water heater controller, and it is an MPPT controller, so I'm not hooking DC directly to my element. The reason being is that hooking elements and solar panels directly together works, but it also can destroy the thermostat because of the arcing. So this MPPT controller does a couple of things. It keeps you from ruining your thermostat, and it also keeps the solar panels at their MPPT or maximum power point tracking point. So you'll get more power and heat out of the water in the morning, in the afternoon. During solar noon and those time, it doesn't really matter, but on the tails, it really makes a huge difference the amount of production that you'll get. So we're going to put a controller in a box. I'm going to mount it in this area, and then we're going to wire directly into the element here in heat water while the sun is shining, and store that energy, store that water, store that heat in this new tank, which is very well insulated, this 50-gallon tank. It's a commercial grade tank. So, all right. Nobody's home again, so I've taken over the table. So we're going to mount a controller, and I'll show you that here in a second. Oh, here's the little controller. And this is an MPPT controller. We're gonna mount a disconnect in a metal box. The metal box will act as a heat sink connected to this backing plate to the controller. And then I'll show you a diagram, but we're gonna have solar positive and negative. We have the controller, and then on the element we'll actually do the negative to the element here. We're going to switch the negatives, and then we'll have the positive for the element connected to this terminal. You'll see it'll make sense here in a little bit. So we're going to for now I'm just going to put solar panels on the ground outside, and to determine the number of panels that I need before I put them up on the roof. I already have some solar on my roof for my air conditioning, and I'm probably going to put 3 or 4 panels, depending on how this performs, up on that roof as well, and bring it down to the water heater. But today we're experimenting, and I'm not going to put them on the roof until I know exactly how many I can run with this controller in this heat sink configuration. I'll probably run it a couple months and see how it goes. Okay, the solar hybrid hot water heater can be put in a variety of enclosures depending on how much solar that you are going to be needing, or how much hot water you need. So I've just been, my family's kind of spoiled with infinite hot water over the last 10, 12, 13 years now with the wood boiler. So I upsized. I'm going to use the same controller, but I'm going to put 4 solar panels on it. 3 to 4 solar panels. I'd like to go with 1200 watts to start this project. So I upsized it. This will give more surface area as a heat sink for the controller, and then coming out of it using the armored or BX cable. So I'm going to take, and we've already pre-drilled and lined everything up here for the controller. And then what's nice is this Eaton box is just to be able to take the disconnect out of it and put that in there. So now I've got nice terminals to use to wire the water heating element, the controller, and then the solar will come in here, and just making sure the polarity is right. And we have one negative terminal from the water heater that needs to go there. Okay, and then we're going to mount this box on this piece of plywood in here next to my water heater. This is a very tight space, but that's the way it is going to be. And then we're going to take and drill out so we're going to use the cover on the water heater and put a terminal right there, so we can bring our BX on the other side to make it nice and neat. And so we've already disconnected. So let me just show you what I did here. is just disconnect the line 1, line 2, and I just put wire nuts. I don't know if you can see that. Wire nuts over the leads coming in, so we can wire the controller directly to one side of the thermostat and the other side to the water heating element. Oh, I need better lighting. Okay, all right, let's get this connected. Okay, we've got the controller wired into our thermostat, and we're setting the thermostat at 150 degrees. We want the solar to work as hard as it can and put every bit of energy into this tank. All right, let's button it up and let's do the solar part of the job. Okay, moment of truth. We've got 7.5 amps going into our water heating element. I measured under load 130 volts. That's right at 975 watts going into the lower element here. You can see where we put in. It's kind of neat. We got our solar coming up in the back, our BX cable going down to the element. You see the controller flashing. It's just like most MPPT controllers do. So it's working. Got our disconnect in there. We got the cover off so you can see all the goodies. So I am pretty excited. We're heating water. We drained the water heater, so we were at 58 degrees on our water temperature. The time is 1:45 in the afternoon, so started a little bit late, so I won't have a full day of making hot water, but we'll be able to do some testing here. So we're going to let it run, and this is awesome. We're putting 1,000 watts in out of a 1,200 watt array, and I'm pretty happy about that. So this controller's goal is to keep those panels at their MPPT tracking point, and that'll get the most energy into that element. Okay, so at the bottom is the off-grid solar direct element. This is the grid element, and then I have my thermal siphon. So with this simple dumb thermal battery called a water heater, I have 3 ways of heating the water, and but this one doesn't require me having to start my chainsaw up, so I'm pretty happy about it. All right, let's look at the solar array. Okay, for our project solar input here, I just have my 4 Soneva 300 watt panels, and we put a little disconnect. So I have a disconnect inside, a disconnect outside, and we're going to stick a ground rod in here and ground the array. We've got, because we're over 90 volts, we have it grounded inside as well. So pretty happy. So let me know what you think. I am a dealer for the little controller, so if you want to, you can go to the link in the description. A very reasonable do-it-yourself project. Again, there's responsibility on you to make sure that you have the proper heat sink in contact with the little solar hybrid controller board. And I'm going to be monitoring the heat on it because I'm just curious as to what we see. So I'll be measuring that throughout today. I got an awesome afternoon to make solar hot water. So at least I got a couple more hours of production. We'll see how she does. All right, I think that's it for this video. We'll be monitoring and get back to you with an update. And I'm calling this PV Direct water heating. But the controller is a solar hybrid hot water controller. We got to come up with a better name. But as long as it works, right? Engineer 775 signing off. Okay, we're flashing away. Checking the heat on some of the components. I am getting 130 degrees. I think it's the MOSFET. I'm not sure. That's the hottest component on the board. Everything else is sitting under 100, around 100. So my heatsink board is ambient temperature. Oh, this is shiny, so 74 degrees. It's hard to get a decent measurement here. About 85. So we'll be watching that. We're very bright sun, cold day, high voltage, and we're making hot water, folks. Yeehaw! PV Direct. So one of these days, I hope that it makes sense, where we have very simple storage systems, whether they're batteries or thermal storage devices, and we use all the PV we can, and we don't use if we can get away from batteries. That's been my goal, whether I'm pumping water or making hot water or compressing air or running an air conditioner or a heat pump or chiller. no batteries. And then when you don't have sun, you live off of your storage. So it's kind of like playing chess in the renewable energy world. It's a lot of fun. Okay, it's the second day of running the solar hybrid hot water heater, and I've completely turned off. I got the disconnect pulled out of the top element, the grid element. I've got my thermosiphon's been off all day. I've taken a couple, 2-3 showers, dishes, laundry, and we're doing just fine. So I did hear the thermostat turn off once. That was earlier in the morning, and since then we took the showers after that, and so she's been making hot water all day long. It's about 4:30, and my panels are starting to be shaded. So anyway, so far so good. I'm going to run it for several days, and we'll see how we do. And so I'm very happy with it. So I have on this simple electric water heater 3 ways to heat water: wood thermosiphoning, PV direct, which is the new one, and then the grid, of course, or generator. And I can actually run it off my Radiant solar, so I could do that. And that's kind of an interesting strategy, is kind of like charge this solar battery with my larger solar system, because I can actually run it, get it up to temperature, and then cruise for several days on the PV direct, the smaller system, and see how she does. But for now, we're going to see how long we can go in an off-grid fashion, running just off of the solar hybrid hot water heater. Okay, let me zoom in on that a little bit. It's a little blurry. Okay, so just been monitoring, testing, and everything is fantastic.